Part 76. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 760. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 flavors of food, Lu Feng told him some heart-to-heart words. As for the previous grievances, the process of acquaintance is not a kind of fate, it is destined. To be honest, I think you will have a different future at GFN Electronics, which will definitely shine in the world. What we want to do is to be a great company. As for that salary, really, brother, big heart. A little Lu Feng was sitting next to Kevin, holding a cigarette in his hand, with one hand hooked on his shoulder, as if he treated a high-end Western restaurant as a roadside stall. Since I'm talking about this, I'll tell the truth. I don't want to do it for a long time. I've been really tired all these years. In the overseas market, leave it to me, and take 10,000 hearts. Kevin hiccuped. Er said, the salary is not much money. I have saved a lot of money over the years, but you can't be too much, right? Brother gives you face, and you have to take care of brother's face, right? That's right, my brother is not right. In this way, I'll give you a basic salary increase of $50,000. If you do well at the end of the year, I guarantee that you will not be less than $1 million. Don't tell the truth when you go out. People outside ask you, what are you? Let's say the annual salary is 1 million. Lu Feng took a sharp puff of cigarette, twisted the cigarette butt on the cow's bone, and said, in this way, we won't lose. The position I give you is absolutely awesome. GFN Electronics Group's Overseas Market Senior Executive President of Strategy, how is it? Mr. Lu, I've been messing around for all these years, and tomorrow will be. I'll give you a car, a Western-style building, and 2 female secretaries. They're the ones with long legs. Which country do you want? Just ask. Lu Feng looked at him as if he had drunk too much. I'm so old, what are you talking about? Kevin laughed and said to Lu Feng, my wife knows, can that spare me? Don't do this. As long as you are worthy of me, I absolutely deserve you. Don't worry about this, you can go out and inquire about my reputation. I've always said good to everyone I've dealt with. I've always been sincere to sincerity. I have never treated anyone who was kind to me. Lu Feng boasted about how he treated me back then. Datu, Han Dong, and Gao Jiwei. The 2 of them chatted until after 2 o'clock in the afternoon through drinking. Alcohol can make people lose their mental defenses, and Lu Feng and Kevin need such a communication. Motorola's headquarters is still looking forward to Watanabe's participation, especially in markets other than Europe and the United States. Now developed regions in Europe and the United States compete fiercely with Motorola, Panasonic, Sony, and other companies in high-end electronics. With the domestic economy sluggish, they turned all their attention to the international market. Watanabe's application was quickly approved, and the next step was to face the fierce attack on the mainland market. In the office, Watanabe was in a good mood. He is more valued in the new company, and he is also a Rome Semiconductor upstream company. The identity is different. Now facing the person from Roma Semiconductor, he is the representative of Party A. After getting the approval, Watanabe immediately called Nakata-jiro. The phone rang several times before picking up the phone, and an operator's voice came, asking in Japanese, hello, the international line of the mainland branch. Where's your president? Watanabe said to the phone in a deep voice. Let him answer the phone. Who are you? Who am I? Who do you think I am? I am the executive president of the Overseas Market Strategy Department of the headquarters. The other end of the phone was scolded in the face, and hurriedly stood up and went to the president's office. Nakata-jiro sat in the office and looked at the clock on the wall, thinking that he would get off work at 3:30 in the afternoon, find a place to eat, and go directly to the dance hall after eating. His life is definitely a mountain high and the emperor is far away. If it is placed in the headquarters, it is at most a middle-level management, but here he is wearing the name of the president. There are hundreds of people under his hand, who are in charge of the annual sales of hundreds of millions of dollars in the mainland area, and a little profit is not enough. Unlike Kevin desperately wanted to go to the headquarters because he knew that his ability had the opportunity to become a decision maker at the highest level. For Kevin, it was more cost-effective to go to the headquarters for development. And for a bastard like Nakatajiro, finding a remote market, doing nothing, and earning a good income, is not better than the headquarters. There was a knock on the office door. He glanced sideways and asked, "Who is it?" "Mr. President, the overseas executive president of the headquarters has called." There was a voice outside the door, but he didn't dare to open the door, because Nakatajiro would never allow him to come in if he didn't say anything, or he would be fired. Most of the people in this branch are Chinese, and most of them are highly educated. Presumably these people are also very depressed. This is the embodiment of the country's strength. The weakest people in the country can only work for foreign companies, and even some civil servants will be proud of it, like the weaker people, to show their honor of being in foreign capital. Nakatajiro looked a little impatient. Recently, there was a new person in the overseas department at the headquarters, and he was very annoying. Yesterday, he received a nonsense email. He thought it was over, but he didn't expect to call. "I don't care about the European market, I don't care about the US market, why are you staring at my 3-acre land? How much oil and water can I have here?" "Damn," Nakatajiro muttered and cursed. He has been here for 3 or 4 years. The previous leaders chose to forget him, and he also enjoyed the feeling of being ignored. The sudden attention made him annoyed. After going out, he picked up the phone in the telephone room and said, "Moxie, I'm the person in charge of the mainland branch, Nakatajiro, please advise. I'm the newly appointed CEO of the Overseas Strategy Department, Shidwatanabe, did you see the email I sent you yesterday?" Shidwatanabe's voice was particularly gloomy, and he didn't like this kind of procrastination. "I see, I promise to execute it." "Why is there no receipt email, Watanabe?" she shouted at the phone, "tell me why there is no receipt email." "Because of my busy work, I'm currently writing." Nakatajiro stood there, trembling. "Be louder. Answer me. Why didn't you get a receipt email, Watanabe?" she shouted. "It's my dereliction of duty, Mr. Minister," Nakatajiro shouted. "Let me tell you, the mainland will be another key market. If you are not qualified for this job, I suggest you write a resignation report as soon as possible." Watanabe said solemnly, "The headquarters has agreed with my plan. This week we will increase the supply to the mainland market, from the original 20,000 pagers per month to 30,000, Big Brother from the original 1,000 to 5,000, radios, tapes, all the machines, etc. are doubled, and you can use your own funds to increase local advertising and quickly occupy the market." Nakatajiro was already dumbfounded. What was he trying to do? Paying so much attention to the mainland was like throwing all kinds of strategic weapons into a small country. Quickly occupy the market? As far as the current mainland market is concerned, with the Motorola brand, do you still need to occupy it? Yes, Nakatajiro instinctively agreed. After calling for half an hour, Nakatajiro only had a feeling that his comfortable days were coming to an end, and Watanabe will keep an eye on the market changes in the mainland region, and at the same time ask them to make market deployments in sales channels, brand building, competition. The adversary makes a judgment report and submits it. Focus on waveguide and GFN electronics. At the same time, digging down the market and exploring the possibility of opening a factory in the mainland area, Watanabe found that the human resources here are simply cheap and terrible. If a factory is built in a coastal area, the products produced will directly cover the entire Greater China region by sea, which is similar to that in Japan, is no different. However, the labor cost has dropped by 80%, which is a real saving of money. After hanging up the phone, Nakatajiro seemed a little frustrated. It was already 3:30 in the afternoon, and the things he planned were all right, but he couldn't do it. He kept swearing and swearing in his mouth. He was upset, and the whole company should not think about it. Nakatajiro commanded the person next to him, "Notify everyone, all work overtime today." The new official took office 3 fires, and they were willing to spend money to toss, then he would accompany the new bastard to toss. Today, the whole company is full of depressive atmosphere. Nakatajiro called the general manager Lu Run over and scolded him in the face, demanding that the company atmosphere be rectified from today. Lu Run called everyone over, held a meeting, and scolded the people below. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Lu Cheng had been back for almost 4 hours. He had been waiting for Lu Feng at the company, but he couldn't wait any longer, so he had to call Wei Yandan and ask where Mr. Lu went. "Isn't he eating at the Western restaurant around the R/U0026D company? He told me to stop by your place after dinner." Wei Yandan was also a little puzzled after receiving the call, and asked, "Didn't you go?" "No. I'll send a page." Lu Cheng called the paging station. There were 7 or 8 red wine bottles on the table, and Lu Feng and Kevin both looked a little over the top. Lu Feng told him his inspirational story, an aspiring young man who was unwilling to be ordinary and worked hard, but he was constantly being pitted by his brothers and still did not give up his dreams. Kevin moved his nose and tears. Drip drip. Lu Feng's pager rang, and he was groping around with his hands. It took a while to find that it was draped in the jacket pocket of the chair. "I forgot. That's all I have to say, it's all my own family, work hard and let them see. The Germans are still very good, really, not like the bad guys in the United States," Lu Feng said and put the pager in his pocket. Ready to stand up and leave politely. Kevin looked a little embarrassed and said, "Mr. Lu, I'm an American." "Oh, that's it, it's all right. From the looks of you, you can see that you are a good guy among bad guys. I still have something to do on my side. I'll be here today." Lu Feng stood up and held his hand and said, "Adjust your mood, start work tomorrow, accept the foreign trade first, and you will be responsible for the overseas department. Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent Mobile Version Reading Website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 761. Kevin accepts all this, but he just wants to minimize his losses. After all, he really can't go back to the public. In the world's auto companies, his position and salary are a turnip and a pit. The higher the position, the greater the competition, and it may be impossible to find the same position after leaving the company, so the bosses will only leave their jobs if they have a clear way back. And he also felt that, according to what Zhu Lidong said before, GFN Electronics International development would not be too bad, and his status would not drop too much, plus such a bluffing name is enough. The two parted at the door of the restaurant. Lu Feng took a taxi and went straight to the R/U0026D company. Lu Cheng was already in the office to handle the company's daily affairs. Going upstairs, Lu Feng asked a clerk, "Where's Mr. Lu? It should be in the office." Lu Feng walked to the door of the office and knocked on the door. After pushing the door, he saw that he was indeed in the office, and said, "When did you come back?" "I'll be back at noon." Lu Cheng stood up and said, "Mr. Lu, now the shape design has been set, and the machine parameters have been calibrated. If the changes are not big, I think it's better not to move. I originally thought about this matter, but after a brief look at the market, I don't think it's possible." Lu Feng sat down and said, "The market has already shown a smell of price war. As you said the other day, the cost of this thing is only tens of dollars, or even lower. The technology in their hands is mature, and the early technology investment has already paid off. What about us? If we think about it like this, we are really passive." Lu Cheng didn't know much about the market, but he still felt that such a sudden breaking would hinder the launch of the product. Lu Cheng smelled the strong smell of alcohol on his body, and said, "Why don't you take a rest first and talk tomorrow, see if you drink a lot. It's just a few bottles of red wine. I drank it with Kevin. It's not easy to coax that old boy. Don't worry, you're very clear-headed. You can call Du Guoying here," Lu Feng ordered. Seeing his insistence, Lu Cheng had no choice but to turn around and pick up the phone on the table to call and notify Du Guoying to come over. In the past few days, Du Guoying has written a total of 3 sets of marketing plans, and conducted a simple survey of pager users, markets, sales channels, and competitors. It can be said that he is working day and night, for fear of missing out this important opportunity in life. 10 minutes later, Du Guoying walked in with 3 folders and said to Lu Feng, "Hello, Mr. Lu." "Sit down," Lu Feng greeted and asked Lu Cheng, "Is the person in charge of the shape design here now?" "Chief Li is here today." "Call over." After a while, 7 or 8 people were sitting in the office, and Lu Feng asked the crowd, "If the design changes, how long is the mass production expected to be delayed?" It was originally going to be mass-produced next week, and it's almost March. Lu Cheng thought about it and said, "From the perspective of plastic film, setting, and debugging machine parameters, I estimate that it will be delayed for half a month, because the shape design is the earliest decision was made, and the plastic factory was already busy with work." Blame me, Lu Feng took the initiative to resist the responsibility. In Lu Feng's memory, the shape and design of the pagers were similar, and they were all black shells. According to Lu Feng's memory, Bird used a price war to lower the price of pagers. The first year was very profitable, but Motorola, Panasonic and these brands did not follow the price war for the first time. They absorbed a large wave of profits in a short period of time, and after they had the money, they began to lay out sales channels. Later, Motorola began to lower prices to compete for the market. What Lu Feng sees now is that the wholesale model of Bird is very popular, and there may be no plans to establish a sales channel in the short term, and continue to move forward by taking advantage of the price advantage. They are now very afraid of GFN Electronics, a company that did not exist before, and the pressure on them is far stronger than that of Motorola. If they continue to let prices dive because they are afraid of competition from GFN Electronics, then Lu Feng is really passive. Because GFN Electronics acquired the 400 million yuan of Ruxin Laboratory, which is a huge pressure on the head. Relying on TV chips, communication technology, compilation technology, and wireless signal technology to make a return of 400 million yuan, it will be difficult to reach the sky within 5 years. So when Lu Feng saw the chaotic situation in the terminal market, the first thing that came to his mind was not to fight a price war. In particular, he also knows that Watanabe she has joined Motorola, and he may come here at some point. The domestic and international business situation is quite complex and can no longer be determined by the previous single market. A good meal is not afraid of being late. It's not bad for the past 2 weeks. Let's talk about the market situation first. Lu Feng leaned back and asked Du Guoying, "How are you busy recently?" "Mr. Lu, through a simple survey of the surrounding market recently, I have 3 solutions in hand. For sales, I still have to rely on the group's sales channels. I personally think that the best solution, the first one, is mainly to solve the problems of users' pain points, highlight product needs, and focus on young people as the main target group. What do young people like the most? Of course, it's the target. We can rely on this in advertising. The commercials mainly focus on a couple living on 2 mountains. Every day, they agree to stand on the top of the mountain to watch the sunset. The woman talked to him through a card-type public phone every day. Finally, it was the 2 of them standing on 2 hilltops at sunset, looking at each other from a distance. First, the hilltop was chosen as the background theme to highlight our good signal, and secondly, as a couple, if you buy one, you will be a pair. It's also more helpful for sales. Du Guoying talked endlessly, mainly on billboards, TV commercials, channel distribution, user groups, and marketing strategies. I have to say that his first plan was perfect. Even Lu Chang kept nodding, saying that if he was young, he would definitely buy it, and Lu Chang also proposed the concept of a couples model by the way. General, Lu Feng gave the answer and lit a cigarette. It's too naive. Have you ever understood the income of young people? Even if the price of a pager is set at 1,000 yuan, how many do you think can buy it? More than half of our group sales channels are in small cities, urban rural fringes, and townships. Lu Feng directly rejected the first plan in one sentence. Du Guoying's excited expression on his face was a little disappointed. In his opinion, this plan should be the most perfect, because couples are the most prone to impulse shopping. Some expenses are more concerned with commemorative significance than actual value. Then let me talk about the second plan. The positioning is business needs, go in the direction of the elite. The advertising scene is a man in a suit, standing in a luxurious office building, chatting about global business. Then the pager rang, pulled out. I came out and took a look, and directly rejected the contract that was being negotiated. The main thing is that the information is fast, but these points can also be easily achieved by other products. I personally think that the market's audience is a bit small for this product positioning. Continue to talk about the third one. Lu Feng smoked a cigarette and said nothing. The third plan, I think, is out of a need for product positioning, and more of a vanity. The main advertising scene is a teenager in a big city returning to the village with a pager, and he uses it every day. When communicating with the outside world, the pager is always beeping, because such a novel thing gives people a very high-end and cool feeling, and the little flowers in the village like him. I don't think about the third plan very clearly, so the overall positioning is still a little vague, and it can be optimized again. Du Guoying has little confidence. The starting point of the third plan is not bad, Lu Feng said, putting out the cigarette butt in the ashtray. Ah, Du Guoying was a little dumbfounded. The people present couldn't believe it. It was obvious that the first plan was more attractive. They all felt that the first plan had a very good positioning of the product, that is, young people had no money, but there were many young people, and there were always rich ones. Will buy, large quantities, as long as 1% of the people inside. That is a very impressive sales. Seeing that they all looked surprised, Lu Feng sighed, let's teach him, and asked Du Guoying, what kind of product do you think is the most profitable? What kind of product is the most profitable? Du Guoying pondered. It must be a just needed item. It can be sold, and everyone needs it, Lu Cheng replied. Others also nodded their heads one after another. Rigid goods are what people need the most and are the most stable. A practical thing, can the price of a wrench make the profit reach 50%? Lu Feng looked around at the crowd and said, food is also very needed. Just take the GMA food I have made, what do you think its profit margin is now? I tell you, 20%, and this profit will decrease. Why does its profit margin keep decreasing? Du Guoying seemed to understand, and said, because it's practical, just need it. Yes, if a product wants to pursue profit margins, it cannot rely 100% on practicality and demand. If it is 100% just in demand, its profit margin will not be high. If its profit margin is soaring, it will be the Third World War II. Lu Feng leaned on the sofa and said, so don't advertise the positioning of the pager, it's practical, because all fools know it's practical. Don't tell the user, he already knows. Tell him, what he didn't know, or rather, more than he expected. Du Guoying's mind was spinning rapidly, digesting what Lu Feng said. She always felt that she had caught something, but she couldn't say it. Actually, the overall market is not only about young people, but also about what kind of people are more in demand. Under this general direction, it must be combined with the background of competitors and price wars, Lu Feng said solemnly. Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 762. Under the constraints of so many rules and regulations, not to mention Du Guoying as a newcomer, the team is still relatively simple. Even if Zhu Lidong's team does it, it will be difficult. Being able to do the current 3 plans is enough to see his potential. We need to find a balance between products and premiums. In the face of the current market situation, we are unwilling to fight a price war, whether it is with Bird, Motorola, or other foreign capital. So how can we lock the price when the other party lowers the price? Living the price and guaranteeing a certain amount of sales is our number one problem. With a serious expression, Lu Feng sat there for a while and then said, "The product positioning is high-end. I agree with this point. It is necessary to build brand power, so that users can have certain social attributes after purchasing, and even add friendship attributes. I don't agree with positioning business. It will make young people feel excluded. I think the positioning should be a young attribute, a light luxury brand, strengthen the value of the product, and not let it go into a price war easily. In terms of publicity, don't engage in pragmatism. What signal is good, the product is durable, and the after-sale service is good. All these should not be carry. In product advertisements, the words high-end, first, and luxury should not appear, but users should feel these in advertisements. In offline sales, the service attributes of stores should be improved to give young people their first VIP service experience. GFN VIP system: as long as you buy GXN pager, you will automatically become a GFN electronic VIP customer, enjoy priority service, door-to-door delivery, and after-sales priority. A vice president next to him said, "Mr. Lu, if you buy a pager, you will become a VIP customer, and then you will launch high-end services later. What should we do? Customers who buy our TVs and VCDs must have opinions. Besides, with the user quantitatively, these services are also a significant expense. Don't worry, there is still a VIP level in the back, and the points system can be used. It's still a card game. For example, if you buy 3 pieces of VCD, TV, and pager, you will get a free electric fan or something. This aspect will be based on profits. Look, at the beginning of the pager, I thought that the price should not be lowered, and the price could be lowered in disguise, but the price could not be lowered directly." Lu Feng sat there and thought about it. The direction is this direction. In order to match this direction, the shape design needs to be changed. The current all-black plastic integrated molding is not high-end, and the shape design needs to be higher-end. Go, increase the cost. There are 7 or 8 chief engineers of the shape design. Look at me, and I look at you. They don't really know what Lu Feng wants, but there are still some drafts. As a designer, who has not had a stack of manuscripts rejected by the leaders? A few minutes later, a stack of manuscript papers was placed in front of Lu Feng, and everyone looked at it. Some manuscripts killed Matt, some were technically demanding, and some were too expensive. Lu Feng flipped through and saw a piece of manuscript paper. The shape design described above was bordered in silver, and the shell clips were designed in contrasting colors. There were 3 kinds of light blue, alloy steel, and black plastic. The buttons were also quite textured. "What is the cost of this manuscript?" Lu Feng asked, putting the manuscript in his hand on the table. Everyone was very satisfied with this before. It is Li Gong's work, but its cost is expensive, and the spring technology under the button is relatively high. Because it has a texture when pressed, we can't do it at present. Only one in Shanghai can do it. Seiko, just such a small spring costs 2 cents, and we can't make this light blue alloy. Lu Cheng looked at the manuscript and considered the cost, and said, the overall cost has risen by 7%. 10. The cost of the shell, increased by 200%. Just use this. Lu Feng decided that the cost of this thing is less than 100 yuan. Even if it doubled, it would only be 200 yuan. In order to quickly recover the research and development expenses, 400 million yuan was spent, which is not bad. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, GFN Electronics released news that the release date of GXN Pager was postponed, and it is expected to be sold on March 15. Half an hour later, the Motorola branch announced that this year will be a blockbuster year in the mainland. We will continue to invest regardless of cost, increase supply, and serve more consumers. These two news are distributed in the industry and will be published in the newspaper tomorrow, but as the most nervous company in the industry, Bird got the news at the first time. In the factory office, the expressions on Su Liwa's four people's faces were a little dull. Years ago, all parties started to move, but there was no sound. I didn't expect that at the same time, the two companies made a sound together, like a thunder, which exploded on the eve of the war. Cloudy sky. GFN Electronics quit. Sui Bo sat there in a daze, and said, according to their R/U0026D team, plus the technology they bought, it shouldn't be. I think there should be a technical problem. They have bought the technology and have to digest it themselves. This is also time. A few days ago, I heard from people in the industry that a batch of trial production has been produced and is being tested. Sudden delay, maybe the product is not up to standard. GFN Electronics should postpone it if it is postponed. It is also an off-season now. The key is why Motorola wants to increase production. Their market share is very solid. At present, our sales are good because of low prices, and a large number of new users have been developed. Their market share has not decreased. This analysis is correct. I think we should focus on Motorola. Their brand power is too strong. If they really start with us, they can't bear it. No, it's still dominated by GFN Electronics. It relies on price wars. On the contrary, I don't think Motorola can cut prices. The tonality of the brand is that, even if the price is not reduced, everyone can sell it. Actually, this is a good thing. If GFN Electronics and Motorola fight. Everyone was chatting, the scene was a bit noisy. Su Liwa said, be quiet. I think, the matter of GFN Electronics and Motorola fighting, we can really consider it, but we also have to guard against it. At the same time, we must do a good job in market planning. In short, the days of earning money as easily as the previous 2 months are basically gone, and we may even spit out the money earned in the past. But we still have to do, especially to prepare for a price war with GFN Electronics, and speed up the layout of sales channels in stores, dealers, franchise stores, etc. In their hearts, it is impossible for foreign brands like Motorola to fight a price war, and they are easy to sell at a premium. Why do they fight a price war? With the announcement of GFN Electronics' entry in the communication field, there have been dark clouds in the industry, and many companies are even preparing to follow up, but due to technical barriers, they cannot enter. But not everyone has Lu Feng's generous, 400 million overseas acquisitions. A laboratory. Li Dongsheng called Chen Weirong and wanted to talk about it. Old Li, what do you think of GFN Electronics this time? I can hear some news from the world. The voice on Mr. Chen's phone was rather mysterious. International news. Oh, I can't keep up with other people's footsteps. I'm still busy with Zhu Lidong. I'm just wondering, the profit from selling a pager is so big. Li Dongsheng wondered, didn't he spend 400 million? Even if the domestic market is fully covered, it will not be able to earn it back. I recently chatted with a few GFN executives, and it is considered that I understand the GFN model. They don't earn market money, or even policy subsidies. They earn money from people from Xiangjiang. Mr. Chen's voice was full of show-off. This is something we don't know. I recently checked the newspapers over there in Xiangjiang. Good guy, Lu Feng is playing well over there. Don't make money from the market. That's right, according to what the executive told me. How much money do the poor have? With the money they earn, they work hard to open factories and expand the market, and then go to Hong Kong to make up stories for those rich people and get financing. Mr. Chen explained. So, it seems that we still haven't figured it out. What do you think the pager means this time? How many successes or failures? It's hard to say, but he has already offended people internationally. This time, it's the people from Motorola who want to get him. I think it's enough. Once he can't get money from the rich in Hong Kong, GFN Electronics will collapse immediately. The two were talking about GFN Electronics on the phone. Not only them, but many domestic companies wanted to understand the development model of GFN Electronics, but they just couldn't understand it. However, recently some people have begun to understand how to play this game, that is, debt financing blows valuation bubbles. The 15th day of the first lunar month has passed. This year is completely over. Schools have started, and enterprises are on the right track. Huaxia Cosmetics factory has officially transformed and started to make daily necessities, starting with laundry, soap, toothpaste, etc. It has been greatly improved. Duo left school, followed the two classmates to go home, wandering around with the school bag in his hand. It seemed that he wanted to throw the school bag directly. I just went to school today, and the teacher said that there would be a parent-teacher meeting and asked both parents to be present. It was just after 7 o'clock in the evening when Zhang Xiaoyan just got off work. As the factory improved, she was in a much better mood. Zhang Fengxia also came back tonight. They have a plan that needs to be changed, and it will be confirmed tomorrow. Hello Aunt Fengxia, Duo greeted Zhang Fengxia. Did the teacher beat you before you finished your winter vacation homework? Zhang Fengxia asked while sitting on the sofa, nibbling on melon seeds. I finished writing, and after I went to school, I copied Huang Jian's. Duo's little face was quite proud. People let you copy. I gave him a benefit. I'm now a health committee member, and recently my books are very easy to sell. It's this kind of books that we can't buy at the canteen in our school. They all want to buy them. I'll sell them to him cheaply. Duo from the school bag he took out a slightly delicate writing pad. Zhang Fengxia sat smacking her lips, and suddenly understood what it means to be close to the vermilion and black to the ink. It's better to focus on your studies. After the summer, you will be a second grader. Duo pouted and ignored her. Since the end of last year, she has earned more than a dozen pocket money by selling some notebooks, pens, erasers, and stationery boxes that were not available in the school canteen. Mom! Mom! Duo trotted to the kitchen and shouted, there will be a parent-teacher meeting tomorrow, and the teacher will ask both parents to go. A parent-teacher meeting? Are you causing trouble again? Zhang Xiaoyan turned to look at her and asked. No, just let both parents go. Duo stood there and dared not look at her. Before parent meetings were held, I was asked to go, honestly. Zhang Fengxia stood up and walked over and said, let's go if the teacher wants to go. Give him a call. It's not in another province. I saw a newspaper report about him a few days ago. Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent Mobile Version Reading Website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 763. You might have caused me some trouble again, and I won't worry about it for a day. If the teacher tells me tomorrow, see if I don't leave you, wash your hands and eat. Zhang Xiaoyan said a few more words to him, and walked out with the food. Zhang Fengxia could see that Zhang Xiaoyan was very reluctant to face Lu Feng, but there was no way to go on like this. In the past 6 months, she has also talked to Zhang Xiaoyan. What she said was that she felt ashamed and sorry for others. How could she have been married for so many years and still could not have children? Coupled with the oppression of her native family, she now just wants to make some achievements and change her way of life. This half year has not been considered in vain. Now Zhang Xiaoyan has improved many times in terms of product design, market pricing, and supply chain. In addition, he has negotiated with some suppliers, and his personality has also changed a lot. While eating, Zhang Fengxia asked a lot of things. You don't need to ask to know. It must be because she was doing petty business at school. This little guy has a smart head, good grades, and a lot of ghost ideas. Zhang Fengxia is even thinking that in a few years, if Zhang Xiaoyan doesn't care, this little thing will be able to earn tuition by herself. It's a little stuffy in the room, I'll go downstairs for a walk. Zhang Fengxia stood up after eating and said. Where's the boredom? That plan has to be changed. I know, take a look first. The packaging design is actually good if it's simple. I think the one discussed in the afternoon is good, Zhang Fengxia said, put on her shoes, and went downstairs. When they got downstairs, Zhang Fengxia called Zhu Lidong from the phone booth, asked about Lu Feng's recent situation, and got the phone number of the group headquarters office. Lu Feng just finished the meeting, and there is another meeting in the evening. Until the pager goes on sale, his arrangements should be dense, especially focusing on Motorola's trends. The phone on the table rang, and Lu Feng picked it up and said, which one? It's me, Zhang Fengxia said while leaning on the phone booth. For a moment, Lu Feng felt that the voice was a little familiar. He couldn't remember who it was. There were too many people dangling in front of him every day. He was stunned and said, who is it? Can't you hear my voice? Zhang Fengxia became a little angry in an instant, and said to the phone, listen again, I'll give you a chance. Lu Feng felt very familiar, but his mind couldn't react for a while. Okay, I'm Zhang Fengxia. It's only been half a year that I have forgotten everything. I don't want to disturb you, but I have a problem. If it's my business, I definitely won't call you. You can also call me about your business. I can hear your voice. I've been busy recently. I went to Tianjin before the 15th day of the first lunar month. Don't be surprised. Those who can help you will definitely help you. Lu Feng was a little surprised when Zhang Fengxia called. There will be a parent-teacher meeting tomorrow. The teacher said that both parents should be present. Can you come? I just think that the child's father will not show up, and it is easy to be gossiped by the classmates in the school. Zhang Fengxia pondered for a while and said, it's not Xiaoyan. What does sister mean? She doesn't really want to see you. Okay, I'll definitely be there. What time will I be there? Lu Feng asked. First class in the morning, just go past 7 o'clock. Do you know where the school is? No. Zhang Fengxia was also stunned when she heard that he knew the school. She didn't say much, and hung up the phone. Lu Feng wanted to ask her how she was doing recently, so she could only sigh when she heard the hang-up tone on the phone. The meeting was held until 10 o'clock in the evening, the shape design was finalized, and then I went to negotiate with the supplier. There will be many things tomorrow, so Lu Feng pushed the morning meeting. Mr. Lu, do you have something important to do tomorrow morning? Du Guoying trotted and asked. There's something to deal with at home. What's wrong? Lu Feng looked at him and said, if you change your advertising, the overall positioning is no problem. You should communicate more with media companies, as well as offline advertisements. Like billboards, walls, or something else. Think about it. Mr. Lu, Kevin called me in the evening and said he wanted to see you, but he said you lied to him. Du Guoying said with some lack of confidence. Where did I lie to him again? Why does he have so many problems? Lu Feng frowned. He said that the international market is different from what was originally described. It is completely blank, and there is no one in the international department. If he is in the state, he can't do it and has to leave. Du Guoying whispered. Want to go? If I have everything, what do I want him to do? You tell him, if you don't want to do it, get out. Remember to leave the liquidated damages to me. It's endless. I invite him not to make him happy, but to let him come. He's here to work, Lu Feng said angrily. Let him keep an eye on the export trade for me, and leave the trade agency company as soon as possible. Also, don't bother me, let him come to share things, not troubled, Malergobe. Seeing that he was already cursing, Du Guoying didn't dare to say anything, just nodded. He also knew that Kevin would definitely not leave. If he really wanted to leave, he went to talk to Lu Feng directly. By talking through himself, he just wanted to complain. It was hard for him to be caught in the middle. If he didn't spread this word, he would have just helped him not long ago. Help spread this word, he will definitely be scolded. Du Guoying returned to the office, picked up the phone and called Kevin. After the call was connected, the other end asked, "How is it? Did you say it?" "I told President Lu that he doesn't seem to be in a good mood. Tomorrow morning, he has something to do, so the morning meeting has been postponed," Du Guoying replied. "Didn't you talk about the salary increase?" "No," Du Guoying answered truthfully. "Then what did he say?" Kevin asked curiously. Du Guoying was also on fire at the moment. He was a newcomer, and he was forced to ask the boss about such a thing. Isn't this causing trouble for himself? And he said, "Boss Lu said, go to the mayor Gobe." Huh? Kevin on the other end of the phone was scolded, dumbfounded. "I didn't scold you, it was President Lu who did." Du Guoying's expression was a bit nasty. Lu Feng did say it, but he didn't convey what he said before. Du Guoying didn't believe that he dared to ask President Lu in person. Kevin was so angry that his nostrils burned. He snorted and said he knew, and hung up the phone. "I owe you a favor, and you haven't always treated me as a gunman." Du Guoying put down the phone with a look of victory. The next day, Lu Feng woke up at 6:30 in the morning and changed himself into a suit. After looking at it, he thought it was too formal, so he changed into a casual suit. This is the first time he has participated in the parent meeting of his children in his 2 lives, and he is still a little excited, not to mention that he can meet Zhang Xiaoyan directly. After changing 3 sets of clothes, I finally chose a gray casual suit and went downstairs to the school after 7 o'clock. In the first class of the school, there were bursts of reading in each classroom. When Lu Feng arrived at the door, the uncle recognized him at a glance, and shouted with a bald mouth, "Zhang Hua, here again." Lu Feng looked a little embarrassed, and the uncle was even more embarrassed. "I'm here to attend the parent-teacher meeting," Lu Feng touched, without a cigarette on his body, and said, next time. "It's okay, we are all here to serve parents, not to show you how many packs of cigarettes are good. This school is a good school, it's strict." The uncle opened the door and said, "Go in." The child's mother also went in just now. "Thank you." Lu Feng politely walked towards the classroom. When I got to the class, I saw 4 or 5 teachers standing on the podium. There were already a lot of parents sitting in the class. As soon as Lu Feng came in, Zhang Xiaoyan's eyes were fixed on him instantly. "Dad, here." Duo sat in the middle and waved to Lu Feng. Zhang Xiaoyan seemed a little overwhelmed, her heart beat faster, licked her lips, and asked Duo, "Did you call him?" "I do not have." Lu Feng came over, moved a small bench and sat down. Looking at Zhang Xiaoyan, he said, "I seem a little tired recently, so pay more attention to rest." "It's okay, it's fine, you've been busy lately." "That's it?" The 2 of them seemed to be somewhat restrained when they spoke, but Duo was unspeakably happy, holding a person with one hand, with smiles on their faces. "The parents are all here. I called everyone here today because I want to talk about one thing. which is the issue of last semester's midterm exam results. Again, educating children is not a matter of the school and requires the cooperation of parents. It can be seen from the results. Zhou Yang did very well in the last exam because after returning home, his family urged him to do his homework. Parent meetings are nothing more than those things. From now to decades from now, the school blames the parents blame the school, and the two sides pull back and forth. Also, let's focus on it. There were parents' reactions before that Duo's students sold things, which was strictly prohibited in the school. There were even cases where they used other students' money to buy things outside the school and then sell them. Duo raised his head and said to Lu Feng, "Dad, I'm financing. I agreed to use it for 5 days, and they will ask me for money the next day." Lu Feng touched her little head and said, "It's called drawing loans, so private loans won't work. You have to borrow from rich people. If you borrow from a teacher, this can't happen, right?" Zhang Xiaoyan was a little angry. She reached out and hit Lu Feng, glaring at Lu Feng, "You still teach?" The parents of several children in the class all looked at Lu Feng. After the parents' meeting ended, a man with a big shoulder and a round waist walked over and said, "Too many parents, my child bought a stationery box. It cost 8 yuan, and this thing is only 50 cents. Money things, before you and your wife." I'm sorry, I'll pay. Lu Feng hurriedly took money from his pocket. After losing a circle, more than 100 yuan was gone. The head teacher also asked them to go to the office to chat, and Duo said to Lu Feng, "Dad, I earned that, why do you want to pay this?" "It's called wiping the bottom of the pocket," Lu Feng sighed. Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent Mobile Version Reading Website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 764. The two were called to the office by the teacher, and they focused on doing business with Duo. They hoped that they would be able to discipline them more when they returned. The teacher said a lot of painstakingly, and finally said the classic saying, Duo, this child, she has brains, but she doesn't study hard and spends her mind in other places. Now that she is 1 year old, she is at the upper level in the class, but it will become more and more difficult later. Yes, we must take good care of it and cooperate with the school. Lu Feng nodded again and again. "Teacher, please worry, I will leave a phone call for you. If you have any questions, feel free to communicate." "No need, just keep mine," Zhang Xiaoyan hurriedly said. The two business cards were placed on the table together. Zhang Xiaoyan hung the name of the chairman of Huaxia, and Lu Feng was the chairman of Jiafeng Electronics. The teacher glanced at it and hurriedly said, "You two are busy, right? It's okay. In fact, I can understand a family like yours very well, Duo, this child is very clever, very clever. Take care of you," Lu Feng said politely. The teacher didn't seem to be as strict as before, and he spoke with a smile. After chatting for more than half an hour, the two left the school, and in the second class, Duo's position changed from the middle to the first row. "You're so busy, why did you keep your phone?" Zhang Xiaoyan walked out of the school gate and stood in front of the car and said, "Even if there is something wrong, can you come?" "I'll try my best. How are you doing?" Lu Feng looked at her and asked. "Very good, you can do your job. I've been watching the news recently. There are a lot of things in the company, and I'm busy too," she said everything, opened the door and got into the car. "Let's talk for a while, I have nothing to do this morning," Lu Feng said while lying on the car window. "I have something to do." Zhang Xiaoyan finished the car and drove away slowly. Lu Feng hurriedly got into his car, kicked the accelerator and followed. The car reached the downstairs of the community. Zhang Xiaoyan got out of the car and saw him following, and asked, "What are you doing with me?" "I don't have anything to do anyway." "Go up and sit for a while," Lu Feng moved his head and pointed his head to the position above his head, which seemed a bit vulgar. I'm going to change clothes and go to the factory. Zhang Xiaoyan could feel something, and strode upstairs. Lu Feng followed and said, the place you rented is really not good. Let's go back to the villa and live. I live in the company now. I'm pretty good here, it's close to work, and it's close to going to school a lot. The environment is not very good, the villa is idle. Seeing her ignoring him, Lu Feng couldn't help but say, don't be like this, even if it's not a husband and wife, we're still friends, right? Yan'er, take it easy. Point, I can't keep up. Climbing to the top floor in one breath, Lu Feng was out of breath. Zhang Xiaoyan opened the door and walked in, quickly tidying up the table. Let me tell you, you can use both the TV and the refrigerator. How much electricity can you use? The big deal is that I will pay for the money, okay? Anyway, you are also the big boss now. He took out his cigarette and said, be nice to yourself, we are separated, but I am responsible for Duo, so I can pay child support. Smoke. Zhang Xiaoyan turned around and stared at him. Stop smoking, Lu Feng put the cigarette on the coffee table and said, I will give you a monthly maintenance fee of 100,000 yuan, what do you think? Duo is not your child, why are you so concerned? Zhang Xiaoyan put down the rag and said, you are busy with your work, if you want me to tell you, hurry up and find a big girl and have a child. You are 27 this year. Right? In the village, they are the fathers of the 2 children. I'm busy like a spinning top, I don't have time to sleep myself, and I sleep with others. Lu Feng sighed and said, it's not like you don't know me. Zhang Xiaoyan cleaned up the tableware and chopsticks on the table after breakfast, and walked towards the bedroom. Lu Feng followed her behind her ass and said, why are you so heartless? If you have something to say, I'll tell you something today. It's hard to make some time. I changed my clothes. You close the door and get out? Zhang Xiaoyan said, and opened the cabinet to look for clothes. Lu Feng closed the door of the room casually, leaned on the closet and said, as the saying goes, a husband and wife in one day are kind for 100 days, and a husband and wife in 100 days are autumn. Zhang Xiaoyan rolled her eyes when she heard this, and said to him, I mean, you go out, I want to change. Change it. Lu Feng stepped forward and put his arms around her waist and said, look at you, you're even more beautiful now. I'm really in a hurry, what are you doing? Zhang Xiaoyan said angrily. Can you have a baby? Zhang Xiaoyan didn't want to pay attention to him, put her clothes on the bed, unbuttoned her shirt, and said, you're such a big man, I don't need to say anything. I don't want anything now, I just want to when the factory is established, this is one of my few wishes, at least it can prove that my life is still useful. Look at you, it's still like this. Lu Feng loosened her waist and sighed, have you not understood it for half a year? I understand, I have to live for myself, and people have to be selfish to be happy, so I don't want anything, I just want to make money. Zhang Xiaoyan changed her clothes and said to Lu Feng, I have to go to the factory. Seeing her walk out of the bedroom, Lu Feng picked up her bag and car keys to leave, and said, if technology can solve this problem one day, can we go back to the past? Where is that kind of technology? You, such a big boss, still miss me? There are a lot of little girls outside. Zhang Xiaoyan said, a little disappointed. If you have money, you can have everything, but what money can't buy is the most precious. Let's talk about it, take one step at a time. Zhang Xiaoyan closed the door and went upstairs. Lu Feng sat on the bed and sighed, feeling a little mixed in his heart. He went downstairs to help her prepay the electricity bill of several thousand yuan, put the electricity bill on the coffee table, and went out to buy some fruits and snacks to stuff the refrigerator. Full. The morning newspapers in many places published the external statements of GFN Electronics and Motorola. In the morning, the electronics industry was in an uproar. A new battlefield has emerged, and GFN Electronics is aiming at the communication industry. It is unanimous in the industry that Motorola's action is aimed at GFN Electronics. For many companies, GFN Electronics has become a leader, which makes them a little uncomfortable. Especially after the Chinese New Year, many state-owned enterprises hold meetings, requesting to learn the GFN spirit and conduct specialized research, digging and promotion in the direction of our U0026D breakthroughs. However, most manufacturers still hope that GFN Electronics can go out. First of all, after the technology is independent, the core components will no longer need to wait for a series of procedures such as shipping and customs, and can be produced more quickly. At the same time, they can negotiate with foreign businessmen. We have a bargaining chip, and the other party does not bargain, we will find GFN Electronics. The downside is that GFN Electronics has become an upstream industry chain. Calls came from all directions, and all parties were spying on the facts. Most of the calls were made to Zhu Lidong, asking him why the pager was delayed. Zhu Lidong can only say that he is not responsible for this matter, the communication is a separate subsidiary, even he has no way of knowing. And Lu Run, general manager of Motorola branch, said in many media that Motorola will increase investment in the mainland area, pay more attention to mainland users, and then increase investment in advertising, and the products will be more categories. Import. The reason for this is because they can't bear to see users being deceived by some inferior products. In order to serve users with high quality, they decide to appropriately reduce prices, including but not limited to, pagers, Big Brothers, radios, etc. This year, an additional investment of $20 million will be added, and no less than 1,000 stores will be added in major cities. Finally, Lu Run said that he will not live up to everyone's expectations. At noon, Lu Feng was eating in the canteen of the group headquarters, looking at the newspaper in his hand, and said, "Are there many people calling?" "Most of them are called to me." Zhu Lidong put down his chopsticks and said, "Many manufacturers are testing, especially those who are very interested in the new factory in Tianjin, and are inquiring whether they really want to produce integrated chips. I can tell them this. We do want to produce some simple chips. Interested manufacturers can contact more." Lu Feng glanced at the people present, but did not notice Du Guoying, and asked, "Has Du Guoying finished eating?" "He's in the next room," said the vice president of the group business department. Lu Feng was stunned for a moment. This room is where they eat every day, and they also communicate about some things. Although it seems nothing on the surface, the people inside the group call it the president's dining table. Being able to sit here and eat with Lu Feng means entering the highest level of the group. Why did he run next door to eat? Lu Feng first looked at Zhu Lidong. "Maybe you don't know us well, I'll call." Zhu Lidong hurriedly stood up and went out to find Du Guoying. "This is a place to eat, don't mess with those messy things. When there are too many people in the enterprise, management must be strict, otherwise some people's hearts will have some rank, class, grouping and so on." Lu Feng moved towards Wei Yandan. Said, "This matter must be paid attention to." Yes, he still ate here yesterday, and it is slowly getting cooked," Wei Yandan replied hurriedly. A few minutes later, the door of the room opened, and Du Guoying and Kevin walked in. Kevin saw that Lu Feng's face was not good. "Sit down," Lu Feng instructed the waiter to bring 2 chairs. Kevin and Du Guoying sat on both sides. Lu Feng asked Du Guoying, "Have you got any ideas for advertising?" Du Guoying looked rather embarrassed, which was the reason why he didn't come to this house. How could it be so fast? A good advertising plan took several months, or even years. "I'm thinking a little bit." Du Guoying lowered her head, still felt like she was telling the truth to President Lu, and said, "Mr. Lu, I only proposed this idea yesterday afternoon, and I have a plan today, isn't it?" Kevin seized the opportunity by the side, and said strangely, Mr. Lu is just embarrassing others. Even if it's a dream, Zhou Gong won't have time to make it up for you. Is there anyone in this world who can do it? Lu Feng leaned back on the chair and looked at him like this, and sneered, I can do it? Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 765. Can you do it? Kevin seemed to have caught Lu Feng's pigtails. He was so angry at first that he didn't fall asleep last night. Now that Lu Feng hit his gun, how could he bypass it? What's your tone? Don't question your boss. It's still a bit capable to be your boss. Lu Feng looked at him and said. Cut. Kevin sneered and looked rather disdainful, and said to Lu Feng, you are bullying young people. He doesn't understand anything, so he can fool me? I will give you a direction today, and I will give you the next day. Writing a copy, dreaming. Before Lu Feng could speak, Zhu Lidong couldn't bear it, and said, even if you don't believe it, you don't need to be so aggressive, right? What's the matter? You united to bully my foreigner. Kevin crossed his legs and said condescendingly, I'm not happy, fire me, let's go. Lu Feng could hear it, and Kevin felt uncomfortable. After all, he used to manage a company with a mature international market system. Now he has a bunch of white men under his command, and he still deals with trade agency companies. If I make it, what should I do? Lu Feng looked at Kevin and said, I'm busy with this myself. When the product is launched, I will put out advertisements at the same time. Don't blow it. Oh, I don't even believe a punctuation mark when you say it. Just you, Kevin said with disgust on his face. You are a gang, that Zhu Lidong. Don't you say that the international market is it awesome? One country, one brand, localization, tens of billions of markets, where is it? Zhu Lidong coughed a little embarrassedly, put down his chopsticks and said, we really don't have such a big international market now, but I believe that with the joint efforts of everyone, it's only a matter of time, and... Stop talking about that, and talk about the future again. I see it, you speak exactly the same as Lu Feng, you just open your mouth and come. Kevin teased Lu Feng, are you doing an internal job for them? Training. When will you teach me a lesson? It's useless to say this, I'll just say one sentence now. What if I figure it out about advertising? Lu Feng raised his eyebrows at him. The quality of copywriting and advertising, I said, is based on high quality, not just fooling around, Kevin said seriously. No problem, don't worry, communication is very important to the group at this moment. Even if you want me to fool me, I will never fool me. Lu Feng looked at him with a serious face and said, I did it, how about it? Kevin frowned slightly, leaned forward slightly, and said solemnly, if you can do it, I will go to Jiafeng's international market. If you can't do it, you have to compensate me for a sum of money, and follow me. Contact the contract. No problem, do what you say, Lu Feng said to the crowd. Everyone has heard it. Be a witness. Don't be fooled. I take it seriously. Everyone present said and testified. Du Guoying felt that this matter was a bit difficult, not to mention that Lu Feng was not only in charge of this matter, but also the affairs of the entire group. Mr. Lu, I know you're busy, or I'll help you make a big framework, and you can give me some pointers when the time comes, Du Guoying suggested. No, I said, just go and execute it. Lu Feng looked at the time, it was already past 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He stood up and said, then get busy now, don't sit here all the time after dinner. There are quite a few. Lu Feng stood up and walked out the door. Kevin snorted coldly and muttered, do you really think I have no choice? Just wait. What are you waiting for? Zhu Lidong looked at him and said, wait for someone to make a fool of yourself. I'll tell you the truth. Don't look at Mr. Lu's youth, he's really capable, and this time it's obvious that he's really moved with you. What you say yourself, you have to honor it. Have the ability? If you have the ability, in more than half a month, can you come up with a first-class advertising and marketing copy? And also make it and put it on the TV station. Kevin couldn't believe the speed. He has also done promotion planning. It is a common thing to revise the draft over and over again. Which good plan is not carefully crafted? Forget it if you don't believe it, when you will open your eyes. Zhu Lidong stood up and didn't want to say more, and walked out on his own. Others also turned their eyes on Kevin and Du Guoying and walked towards the door. Kevin was not in a hurry at all, because he felt that he would win, but Du Guoying was in a hurry. Kevin was desperate to leave now, but Du Guoying wanted to stay. I'm busy too. Du Guoying stood up and walked out. He had to find a way to help Lu Feng. If Kevin really left, he wouldn't be able to take it anymore. Kevin was not busy, he sat there leisurely and ate, and left after half an hour. The shape design of the pager has been finalized, and Liukin is leading a group of designers to modify the design draft to control the details, such as product identification, supporting suppliers, some minor adjustments to the shape design, and contacting subordinate factories. Is it technically achievable? Lu Feng said a word, he is busy breaking his leg. In the research and development company, Lu Feng sat in the office and looked at the folder at hand. Du Guoying already had an initial idea, and the overall framework was almost the same. Du Guoying knocked on the door and walked in, and said to Lu Feng, Mr. Lu, the general idea is already there. You can take a look and see if it suits you. If it doesn't work, I'll change it. It's a bit biased, but it's still possible. It's too late to change, we have to hurry up. There is still time for filming and negotiation with CCTV. However, our group has a strategic partnership with CCTV, so it's easy to say in terms of launch and price. Now the most important thing is to shoot the advertisement in this half month. Lu Feng closed the folder in front of him, pondering the way the advertisement should be presented. The office door was pushed open and Kevin walked in. What are you doing here? Lu Feng was a little puzzled when he saw that he went to the R/U0026D company. Supervise you, or you'll leave it to someone below to do it. Where can I find out? Kevin sat down on the chair and said to Lu Feng, it took more than 10 days, from scripting to shooting, at all. It's not enough, I advise you to give up early, and there is no need to waste this time between us. You have to at least let me do it. Besides, there are media companies under the group. As for the script, I just thought about it, and I already have it in my heart. Lu Feng looked at him with a smile and said, halfway. A month is enough. We said yes, it's a good advertisement. Absolutely good, artistic level, Lu Feng assured him. Du Guoying could see that Kevin just refused to accept it, and Lu Feng wanted to pass this incident to convince him. If he really didn't do well, Kevin would really leave. Lu Feng picked up the phone on the table and called Wei Yandan. After the call was connected, he said, contact the person in charge of the media company and ask them to prepare an advertising director tomorrow, a group of dancers, and more makeup artists, and also to ask, which star is free to come over for a few days and shoot an advertisement. What's the budget for a celebrity endorsement? Wei Yandan asked. Give me some hard work. This budget is very small. The main purpose is to give them a chance to make friends with me. I believe that for them, having such an opportunity is more important than money, right? Lu Feng said. On the phone, he said, try to look for big names, handsome guys, and beauties. Du Guoying listened to what Lu Feng said, and he really felt that this boss has no sense of shame, and he can say this without giving money. It is rare to have such a high-sounding sound. Kevin was quite speechless when he sat there. He had seen everyone, but he felt that he was dealing with the upper class, and he wanted to save face, and Lu Feng never seemed to know what face was. Then I'll call over there and ask, and I'll give you a message right away, Wei Yandan replied. It is good. Lu Feng hung up the phone, looked at Kevin and said, if you see it, the shooting will start tomorrow, and it will be done in 2 days at most. This kind of thing is too simple for me. Mr. Lu, it's better not to be overconfident in an industry that you are not familiar with. Tomorrow you will know. Lu Feng looked at him and asked, I want to ask, do you have any thoughts on the international breakthrough of GFN Electronics' current products? You can tell me about it and exchange ideas. What? I'm afraid that I won't be able to control myself after I leave. Are you starting to tell me? Kevin smiled contemptuously, aren't you very good? I don't know anything, from today until the bet between the two of us is finished, my mind is in a blank state. You're too cautious. We're all a family. Didn't we chat well over dinner that day? Then you didn't tell me, there are more than 20 people in the international marketing department, including 2 old ladies who mop the floor. Kevin got angry and said to Lu Feng, what kind of work do they do? It's just to hand over some documents with those trade agents called, who did I bring before? They can all be placed as presidents of branches in various countries. Isn't this cultivated slowly? Besides, let's take your former people to and fro. The team is slowly assembled. I was not alone in the past, and now there are a group of people around me. Just as Lu Feng was about to share with him how he gathered talents step by step, the phone rang on the table. Hey, who is it? Mr. Lu, I just called to ask. There is indeed a very big male star who has a schedule. He should be very happy to cooperate with us, and the price should not be very high. Wei Yandan's voice was full of happiness. Really? Dihua or Don, Lu Feng said happily. Jackie Chan. Who? Lu Feng's voice increased several times. Jackie Chan. Don't let him come if you pay for it, you know, Lu Feng said solemnly to the phone. Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent mobile version reading website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 766. Wei Yandan was dumbfounded. She didn't know why Lu Feng was so opposed to Jackie Chan. You must know that he is the most popular now. Even his overseas popularity is now very high, which is also beneficial for GFN Electronics' international publicity. That is because GFN Media Company has a relatively large market in the mainland, especially the VCD market, otherwise it will not be able to invite others. Mr. Lu, in terms of international reputation, I think Jackie Chan has more advantages. Isn't this year planning to enter the international market, which is also beneficial? Wei Yandan also tried to explain Lu Feng. I know, just ask Dihua and Liming, come as much as you can. If they think the price is low, you can mention me. Lu Feng gave the order and hung up the phone. Du Guoying listened to Lu Feng's words and seemed to be quite prestigious in the entertainment industry, so she couldn't help but said, Mr. Lu, you are in the entertainment industry and have a lot of face. No. What's the matter? Lu Feng wondered, where do I have time to join the entertainment industry? Then you said to mention your name. It's the same as anyone who mentions it, let's talk about it if you give me face. Lu Feng glanced at the time, it was almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The media company's branch was in Shenzhen, but its headquarters was in Beijing. First, it was because of the DVD player in Zhongguancun. Entertainment companies are relatively concentrated, and secondly, it is convenient to cover the northern market. As for the Shenzhen branch, it is used for dubbing Hong Kong films, and it will also do some advertising. They do all the billboards of GFN Electronics in the south. Lu Feng picked up the phone and called Zhu Lidong first. After the call was connected, he instructed, CCTV's pager advertisement should be handled as a matter of fact. Say hello as soon as possible. The advertisement time should be a minute or two, you know. The reason why Du Guoying was not allowed to communicate with Zhu Lidong was because he was afraid that Zhu Lidong would have grudges in his heart. After all, Du Guoying was a newcomer and had no work experience. He came up and sat in the position of vice president. Recently, some people in the senior management have started to mutter in private. Okay, I'll arrange it as soon as possible, and I will call you back when I have news, Zhu Lidong replied. Yeah, Lu Feng hung up the phone and called the media company again. The operator who answered the call was transferred to the president's office. The interior of the office is quite luxurious. A man in his 30s is sitting on the boss chair. He is dressed in a black suit and black-rimmed glasses. Sitting on her lap was a woman with a demon-like appearance. It was just the beginning of spring. Even in Shenzhen, it was cold now, but the woman was wearing a sexy short skirt with two jade arms around the man's neck, and said coquettishly, "Mr. Yuan, people want fire. Look at you, you always say that you want to be popular, and you don't have any indication. I think you don't want to be popular." President Yuan reached out and pinched the woman's nose, teasing, "How is your girlfriend? Do you want to debut?" "Oh, Mr. Yuan," the woman swayed around his neck and said coquettishly, "You are in your arms, but you are thinking of my best friend. I just want fire, I just want fire." Okay, aren't you quite popular now?" President Yuan looked at her and said. "I'm just a graphic model now. After leaving GFN Media, who knows me? I want to make a TV series," the woman said coquettishly. "You invest in one, and I'll be the heroine." "I don't have this right. I need to apply to the headquarters. We are a media company, mainly to cooperate with the group's business. I don't. No. I want it. I'll introduce my best friend to you." The woman twisted her body reluctantly. The woman also saw it, and said close to him, "Didn't you say that if you didn't make peace, they would go inside and talk with you?" President Yuan picked her up by the waist. Just as he was about to enter the inner bedroom, the phone on the table rang. "Don't take it." The woman was a little hesitant to see him. Mr. Yuan was still fascinated, but the corporate culture of GFN Electronics was still engraved in his heart. He hurriedly sat back and said, "It will be fine in a while." "Which one?" Mr. Yuan answered the phone. "Is it a media company?" "I'm Lu Feng." "Are you in the company now?" Lu Feng asked him, "The branch in Shenzhen." "Mr. Lu, I'm here." Mr. Yuan panicked a little, pushed the woman out in a hurry, grabbed the phone with both hands and asked, "What is your order?" "Can President Wei tell you?" Lu Feng asked him. "Give me a call. The director, dancer, and venue layout all take time. It should be fine tomorrow afternoon." "There is a flat advertisement shoot today," Mr. Yuan replied. "I'll check it out in a while, that's all for now," Lu Feng said and hung up, then hung up the phone. The woman drilled into President Yuan's arms and asked, "Who is it?" "The leader of the group is coming, I have to prepare. You go ahead and take the photos as soon as possible to free up the venue." Mr. Yuan has no intention of thinking about other things now. Lu Feng has never come to the branch. The attention made him a little flustered. After finishing his clothes, he saw the woman was still standing there and said, "What are you doing? Hurry up and take pictures. You should talk to the leader about filming the TV series." The woman seemed to want to curry favor with the people at the headquarters, and said, "Otherwise, if you have a treat at night, I'll accompany you, and I'll tell the leader." Mr. Yuan was also tired of playing this time. If Mr. Lu liked it, it would also be good for him. He knew that Lu Feng was divorced, so maybe he liked it? "Ro. You can speak to me when the time comes, you can keep telling me, and there will be no trouble with you," the woman said towards President Yuan. "Don't worry, it's your job." Lu Feng tidied up briefly, looked at Du Guoying and Kevin, and said, "Two lords, move on, there is still time today, go see the venue, and start shooting as soon as possible." "Mr. Liu, I'm not a master." Du Guoying hurriedly stood up, a little panicked. He was afraid that Lu Feng would tie him to Kevin. If Kevin really had to leave, he would also can't stay. Kevin stood up with a rebellious expression and walked towards the door. The drive was not long. After half an hour, Lu Feng's car parked downstairs in the media company. President Yuan had been waiting here for 10 minutes with 7 or 8 people. President Yuan had met Lu Feng several times, but Lu Feng had no impression of him. When Wei Yandan took over urgently, as the deputy of the media company, he also took over Wei Yandan's position by the way. "Hello, Mr. Liu, you can come to the company for inspection, it makes me feel full of glory." Mr. Yuan stepped forward and shook hands with Lu Feng, his words were full of flattery. "I didn't come to inspect, didn't Mr. Wei call you?" Lu Feng looked a little unhappy at him, and said several times that it was about shooting an advertisement. Why did he seem to be completely out of his mind? When Mr. Yuan answered the 2 calls, his mind had already drifted into the distance, and the words in his ears only stayed in his ears for a while. Yes, Mr. Wei called and ordered, "Please," Mr. Yuan hurriedly said. "What's your name?" Lu Feng strode upstairs, and asked Mr. Yuan casually. "Just call me Xiao Yuan, Yuan Yan," President Yuan said humbly. "Are there any ready-made advertising directors?" "This, I don't have it today. I'll ask tomorrow to see which director is available." "Where's the photographer?" "We have this, because our company also shoots some advertisements and has several photographers." "What about post-production?" "There are, but it's a way of cooperation. If you are in a hurry, you can add some money to make them rush to work." "Is there a venue now?" "Now we have 2 shooting venues, one of which has already set up a set, because we are going to start shooting the commercials of Wipita TV in the next 2 days, and the other venue is shooting flat models today, mainly our company's wall calendars, product image maps, and according to different promotion methods, such as publicity photos of bus stop signs, etc." Mr. Yuan took Lu Feng upstairs while introducing, and said, "You go to the lounge first and prepare tea." The 3 entered the lounge, where tea was already set up, and a girl with a sign was standing, with a standard smile on her face, and it could be seen that it was a well-prepared facade. Lu Feng sat down and said to President Yuan, "The most important thing for a media company is to focus on group business. In addition to advertising, it is the introduction of Hong Kong movies, music, and stars. The overall income last year was good, which shows that this mode is very good. Keep it up. I am here because there is an urgent advertisement that needs to be shot. You find those photographers, and if you know some advertising planning, I will chat with them." "Okay, no problem, Mr. Liu, sit down for a while." Mr. Yuan turned around and went out. "Mr. Liu, please drink tea," the reception girl politely said to Lu Feng. Du Guoying's eyes swirled around the reception girl, and she thought to herself, "Sure enough, as long as you have something to do with the entertainment industry, there will be no shortage of beautiful and handsome guys." Lu Feng doesn't know much about media companies. Since its establishment, he can say nothing. Wei Yandan built it, and this is also her proud work. After waiting for 5 or 6 minutes, Lu Feng stood up and walked outside, wanting to see the overall atmosphere of the company. Sometimes a subordinate company can't just look at everything from the report. In the shooting hall on the 3rd floor, there are several fake peach trees. A woman is leaning on the tree with a peach blossom in her hand. 4 or 5 videographers are shooting, and the flash is continuous. There were more than a dozen people on site, makeup artists, photographers, lighting, costumes, and even art directors. "How Ellie? It's very beautiful, let's take another picture, smile a little, and turn your face to the left, giving people a feeling of half light and half darkness. How Ellie, that's all. Crack." Just after filming a group, the two little girls walked up to help her with makeup. Drinking water, Sister Yu the assistant took out a bottle of mineral water. I don't want to drink, didn't I ask you to go downstairs and stare? Why did you run up, Sister Yu said towards the assistant. Mr. Yuan didn't let me down, but I saw them coming, and a group of people went to the office around them, said the little assistant. Sister Yu stood there hesitating for a while, and said to everyone, pause, I'll change my clothes and go out. Why are you going? Today's filming task is very heavy. The staff at the scene ran over and said, the noon break has timed out. I'm going out for a walk, and I'm going to overtake it. If it doesn't work, I'll shoot it tomorrow. Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent Mobile Version Reading Website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 767. Although Yuja is now a third-tier model, she is still very active in GFN media because of Mr. Yuan's face. She has not only her own assistant, but also a makeup artist. She has no intention of taking plain photos at all now. She just wants to meet the big boss by chance, which may help her career even more. Lu Feng strolled around the office area and chatted with a few middle-level managers. The overall situation was not bad. Wei Yandan laid a strong foundation here. The upstairs is the shooting point and also the recording studio. Lu Feng went upstairs, looked around, and found that there was no one in the recording studio. There were more than a dozen people standing on the left side, looking like they were filming something. Walking towards the scene, Lu Feng asked a bearded man, what is this filming? Several people glanced at Lu Feng, and one of them replied perfunctorily, print ads. That's the shooting location. Another shooting location is to set the scene, right? Lu Feng asked the group of people. Yes, bearded with a camera in his hand, he glanced at Lu Feng and asked, what's the matter with you? I don't have anything to do, I'm just here to take a look. Can you finish filming today? Lu Feng asked again. I could have done it, but it looks like it's boring. What's the matter? Take the time to shoot. Which part went wrong? Lu Feng frowned a little. There were still some props placed on the scene. These are all cleaned up and new scenes are set up. It will take time. What's the matter with you? What? You want to use this? The bearded man looked at Lu Feng, obviously a little irritable, and his tone of speech was not very good. Yes, I plan to use it tomorrow. You ask the leader, don't ask us. I'll tell you this place probably won't open tomorrow, and if the shooting doesn't go well, it won't open the day after tomorrow. The bearded man sat on the chair beside him and began to fiddle with his camera. As for the others, they completely took Lu Feng as heir, with Du Guoying and Kevin standing aside. They were not familiar with this type of filming location and didn't know who was in charge, so they could only stand there. It's so troublesome to take a photo, Lu Feng frowned. What are you asking me for? I'm not the person in charge, and I want to finish filming and get off work earlier. That's why the living ancestors refused to agree. Beard was a little angry, and turned his back to Lu Feng, and said no more. What? What's the matter? Someone is playing a big name, so this is it. Lu Feng had heard a lot of big names on the set before, but he didn't expect that he would meet him for the first time in 2 lives. No one answered him, so Lu Feng could only take a look at it himself. The shooting site was very spacious, about 300 square meters, which was enough for general commercial shooting. While looking at the scene, the door of a room not far away opened, and a girl walked out. She was about 1.7 meters tall. A thin layer of yarn, slender thighs looked quite attractive. This dress is a bit like an ancient dust girl, and she has an indescribable arrogance. Why isn't this filming anymore? Lu Feng saw that she should be a model. Sister Yu glanced at Lu Feng, but didn't speak. The assistant on the side asked, who are you? Does it have anything to do with you? This venue, I will use it tomorrow. I heard them say, hurry up today, you can finish filming, and if you finish filming, then leave, Lu Feng said to Sister Yu. Who said it was withdrawn? Sister Yu looked at Lu Feng, feeling like he was helping other models grab work, and said, even if you are shooting later, you are shooting me. I tell you, it's not my turn to grab a job. Work, there are too many brokers who have been kicked out by me. Then tell me now, why didn't you take pictures? Lu Feng asked her. I'm in a bad mood, Sister Yu asked the staff next to her. Who is this person? Why does the company let everyone in? Which department does it belong to? A man in his 40s asked Lu Feng, which department do you belong to? Don't care which department I'm in. Where is there such a thing? If you are not in a good mood, you will not shoot. If you don't shoot, clean up the scene now and make room. Lu Feng asked the man, is this model from the company, or was it hired from outside? You don't know Sister Yu, are you still in the circle? Blind your eyes, the little assistant shouted at Lu Feng sternly. I tell you, it's sky high for Sister Yu to take a set of photos now, don't do it. Talk to our sister Jade in the tone of you reprimanding your own artist, you know. That is to say, it's not from within the company, it's hired day by day, right? Lu Feng looked at them and said, then what qualifications do you have to stop the filming? Isn't this a waste of company money? Sister Yu has been walking sideways in the company during this period of time. She said that she would take pictures, and she said that she would not take pictures if she did not take pictures. She suddenly ran out of such a person chattering, which made her particularly uncomfortable. Does it have something to do with you? Yes, it's just spending money here. What can you do with me? Are you jealous? Sister Yu looked at Lu Feng, feeling that he might be an agent or a male graphic model, and snorted coldly. Said, just like you, there is no future in this life, I don't have time to talk nonsense with you, let's go. After saying that, Sister Yu was ready to leave with a few people. Lu Feng's expression was no longer good looking. Since it is popular, the price must be very expensive. I don't know how much it costs to spend a day. It is uncertain how many activities are involved, so how can Lu Feng not be angry? Stop! Lu Feng shouted loudly, and even Du Guoying was startled. Sister Yu stopped in her footsteps. No one dared to talk to her like that recently. Who do you want to stop? Sister Yu scolded Lu Feng, if you don't take a piss and take pictures of yourself, you're running here to be a wild man. I tell you, don't worry about this company. It's still a broker, there is no one I can deal with here, understand? That's right, I'm not afraid to tell you that Jade has everything for GFN Media's model shooting, and no one wants to interfere. The assistant seemed to be quite proud, based on the relationship between Jade and President Yuan. You are here. I'll never catch up. Kevin stood on the side and looked completely interested in watching the show. Obviously, Lu Feng didn't expect it. He just went to the media company to shoot an advertisement, but he didn't expect to find out about the management. Lu Feng's face was already extremely ugly, and Wei Yandan had only been gone for so long, but he was already full of smog. Sister Yu didn't want to waste any more time, she waved to the people around her, and strode towards the elevator entrance. Just as she reached the elevator entrance, the elevator door opened, and President Yuan walked down from the elevator. Mr. Yuan, why are you here? Did you miss me? Sister Yu said softly. What do I want you to do? Where is Mr. Lu? Mr. Yuan looked around worriedly. After all, there are not many people who know Mr. Lu in the company. If there is any mistake in management, he will cause big trouble. You mean the boss? I didn't see it. Sister Yu pointed to the shooting venue and said, there are a few people over there, they seem to be from a model agency outside. Xiao Yu. Mr. Yuan, take me to see the boss, I'll just sit there and don't talk, just bring tea and water. President Yuan glanced from a distance, and found that Lu Feng was standing here. His heart stunned, he felt bad, and he ran over here. Mr. Yuan, Sister Yu ran towards the side with her gauze skirt in both hands. Lu Feng stood there chatting with the bearded man, and the bearded man said with a surprised expression, "This is the way of the business, especially modeling. If you look good, you can be a model, and the rest is up to you. As for that, take a nap, isn't it commonplace?" President Yuan ran over, panting for a while, and everyone at the scene saw him coming and stood up one after another. "Lu, Mr. Lu, why are you here? The venue here can be demolished today. You can tell me what kind of effect you want. The cameraman will be here soon. I also found a director, half of them. It should be there in an hour," President Yuan said to Lu Feng. "Mr. Lu," the bearded man looked at Lu Feng in surprise, and dared not say anything. "Are you the boss? So young. What's wrong with being young? Did you wipe your face with Vaseline?" Lu Feng looked quite serious, looked at Sister Yu who ran over with a confused face, and asked, "I can't settle it without you, right? Come on, I'll settle one. Look. Sister Yu is already stupid. She never dreamed that the boss was so young. In her mind, the boss must be in his 50s, but the young man in front of her was obviously similar to her, and he was quite handsome. She just thought that Lu Feng is also a plain model. What's wrong?" Mr. Yuan had an ominous premonition in his heart, looked at Sister Yu and said, "Are you making Mr. Lu unhappy?" "It doesn't count, Mr. Yuan, I want to ask you something." Lu Feng looked at Mr. Yuan and asked, "Have you and her slept?" This is a personal matter." President Yuan smiled awkwardly. "I asked you if you were asleep. Who was smiling with you?" Lu Feng pulled his face and burst out drinking. Many people at the scene were terrified. President Yuan was also taken aback and said hesitantly, "Sleep, sleep, but not completely asleep. It's pretty fun to play." Lu Feng sneered and instructed Du Guoying, "Go and call Wei Yandan, ask her to come over, and let the audit team come over by the way." When President Yuan heard the word audit, his legs went weak with fright, and he hurriedly said, "President Lu, I haven't done anything. The company's accounts are clear. Since I took over from President Wei, I have always been diligent and diligent. Diligent, never the slightest mistake. I am loyal." "Then why are you panicking?" The people present were afraid to speak. They knew that the media company was going to change. Since Wei Yandan left, the old employees who were present knew better than anyone what was going on in the company. Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 768. Sister Yu was already panicking. If something happened to Mr. Yuan, she would really be finished. She hurriedly put on a smile, stepped forward and said to Lu Feng in a loud voice, "President Lu, I haven't seen you before. I didn't know each other today. Let's have dinner together at night, and you can get to know me well. Knowing you does listening to you open my eyes." Lu Feng stared at her and asked with interest. Seeing that things were turning around, Mr. Yuan hurriedly said, "Xiao doesn't have a boyfriend yet. Seeing a talent like Mr. Lu, it is normal for freshmen to admire him. She used to say that her idol is you. Sister Yu is also very good at climbing the pole." She glanced at Lu Feng shyly, squeezed her arms together, bit her lip, and said in a low voice, "Mr. Lu, people, people. You babble, what's the matter? Hurry up if you're in a hurry to urinate." Lu Feng said to the two of them, "Didn't I just say that it can be settled? Today, I ran into me. If it's someone else, I'll let you settle it." Mr. Lu, Sister Yu stepped forward, grabbed Lu Feng's wrist, and shook it gently. Let's talk about it in another place. People know I'm wrong. Just punish me. I'm willing to accept the punishment. Kevin stood aside and felt a little red in his old face. He coughed and turned his eyes away. Du Guoying was a little puzzled. He always felt like he didn't understand something, and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" "It's all right." "Then why do you look like you understand something?" "Don't ask, kid." Kevin could only use these words to prevaricate him. Seeing that Mr. Yuan didn't speak, Lu Feng thought that if he had clean hands and feet, it could still be used. After all, the development of the media company has been good for the past 6 months. Now it seems that this is not necessary. I remember that President Wei set a rule for the media company at the beginning, called earning money from the entertainment industry and not getting involved in the entertainment industry, right? Lu Feng asked President Yuan. President Yuan's expression was stiff. When Wei Yandan was in charge, the media company definitely served the development of the group, focusing on organizing Hong Kong stars to come to the mainland to release Hong Kong films and songs. Yes, Yuan said with his head lowered. Not much fame, not much power, but big air. Lu Feng stared at Sister Yu and said, "If you want to take pictures, take pictures. If you don't want to take pictures, don't take pictures. Is money so easy to earn?" "People know it's wrong," Sister Yu said coquettishly. The elevator door opened, and Wei Yandan hurried over, followed by more than 20 people. They looked dark, all of them wore suits and leather shoes, and they looked like a business elite. "Mr. Lu, what's the matter?" Wei Yandan was a little anxious. She felt that things didn't seem right. She glanced at President Yuan, but the other party didn't dare to look at her former boss. "The audit team is now checking the accounts of the media company. Mr. Wei, we need to strengthen the management and control of the subordinate companies, especially the person in charge of the branch company. Basically, his character is very important." Lu Feng moved towards Wei Yan and said, "You still need to keep your eyes open when selecting candidates, not to mention that media companies are involved in the entertainment industry." Yes, my dereliction of duty. I heard that there are some moral problems." Wei Yandan looked at Sister Yu and President Yuan, and said solemnly, "For media companies, this aspect must be strengthened, such as some acquired through nepotism. We will also recover the illegitimate interests." When Sister Yu heard this, she instantly understood that there was no turning back. Even if President Yuan kept herself, she would never dare to mess around again. Her days of making money in this company were completely gone. Since there is no future, what a boss is not a boss. Sister Yu snorted coldly, raised her head and said to Lu Feng, "No one can take away the money I put in my pocket. You can do whatever you like. I really think the entertainment industry can you make a song like this and get it back. Let me tell you, I know a lot of business bigwigs, and when I get out of this door, I have to call my sister-in-law again." "Really? Tell me a few, I'll listen." "I didn't expect you to be so talented at such a young age." Looking at her, Lu Feng sneered, "It's just a small model. If this is a big star, I'm afraid I'll have to call her sister respectfully." Sister Yu felt that Lu Feng seemed to be afraid of these relationships, and instantly became complacent, and said, "I tell you, don't think that you are a boss, just shout in front of me." "Stop talking," President Yuan reminded in a low voice, pulling him with his hand. "What are you pulling me for? I'm not his employee. I just want to tell him that others have to give their faces, and I'm not easy to mess with. In front of the big businessmen, maybe I have more face than you." Sister Yu stared at Lu Feng, reprimanded, "It's better not to offend people when you come out to mix." "So powerful?" Lu Feng looked at her slightly teasingly. "Mr. Zhao of Tiancheng Group, you should know him. He is a leader in the electronics industry." Sister Yu moved out a big man. "I know," Lu Feng said indifferently, "when I cleaned up Conca's houses, I cleaned it up. What's wrong?" Have you cleaned up yet? Ouch, don't think I don't know. How many years have you been in your company, sister? You looked at President Yun as she spoke, and she was already a bit lacking in confidence. Stop talking, believe it or not, I beg you. President Yun was about to cry, and whispered, there are no domestic electronics companies that he has not cleaned up, so shut up. This made Jiyu startled. In her heart, those who have been established for many years and the chairman of the board are old men in their 50s and 60s are the existences that cannot be provoked. She thought that if she mentioned a few bosses, Lu Feng would definitely give face. Business is not just show each other face. The audit team is very professional. What's more, the subordinate companies have to submit reports every quarter. They know the situation of the subordinate companies very well. If I really want to check them, they don't need to look at the big accounts at all. They only need to look through some small expenditure accounts to find the problem. A man in his 40s came over and said to Lu Feng, there is a problem with expenditure items and reimbursement. We checked some contracts and believe that there is a transfer of benefits. Close the account, hand it over to the court, and recover all the funds for some contracts obtained by illegal means. Lu Feng said to Wei Yandan, this matter should serve as a warning to the entire group. Don't think that the sky is high and the emperor is far away, so he can do anything wrong. We must be cautious in choosing the person in charge of the media company. I'll go back and hold a special meeting, Wei Yandan nodded. Mr. Yun felt that the whole person was spinning. He had just been in this position for less than 8 months, and he was imprisoned. Sister Yu stood there in a daze. Although she was young, she had experienced a lot so far. She is the first miss. Empty the space and simply set up the background today. Lu Feng instructed the crowd. In the capital, Motorola headquarters, in the conference room, Nakatajiro's face looked a little haggard. These 2 days are definitely his busiest time since he came to the branch. Watanabe Shi, who just took office, seems to be targeting him, requiring daily reports on key issues in the mainland region, and constant instructions, from advertising to product layout. Nakatajiro held 6 meetings a day and was tired like a grandson. He wanted to write a complaint letter to the president's office to complain about this kind of thing. The goods arrived at the port tonight, and the market is currently in a downturn. It is also a low season after the New Year. Lu Run sat next to Nakatajiro, holding the manuscript in his hand, and continued, this time, there are more imported goods, which is also the reason for the headquarters. To our expectation is that we will increase the investment in advertising at the same time, and we have already contacted CCTV and will launch advertisements in the next few days. At present, the best seller in the market is Bird, but they are only in the field of pagers. For example, Big Brother is still our home. In other foreign investment, Ericsson has a low market share. I think this time, it is the best to sweep the market. Opportunities. As for Jiafeng Electronics, it is not enough, they are still deeply involved in product development and cannot extricate themselves. As the products land on the shore, we will start a new round of product price wars. According to the instructions of the headquarters, we will make a marketing promotion plan, and the terminal price will be reduced by 10%. For those present, this is a battle without suspense, starting from Motorola's decision to cut prices. This is a massacre of local products. At the meeting, the opening of new sales channels, advertising, brand building, and foreign competitors were all reviewed. Under the leadership of a pig, these elites believed that the current situation was in their hands. The most stressful thing right now is the waveguide. They are indescribably uncomfortable to be sandwiched between the two giants. These days, the 4 of them have been spinning together, constantly visiting major cities. In order to quickly open the sales store, they took Wei to join the store. In the 2 forms of waveguide counters and waveguide electronics stores, the advantages of franchise stores are that the opening of the store is very fast, the investment is relatively small, and they can bloom everywhere in the short term. The disadvantage is that the control of these stores is not in the hands of the waveguide. Su Liwa was sitting in the office, nodding to the phone constantly, with a serious expression, and even a little frustrated. You can rest assured that we will do a good job. Currently, we are stepping up the expansion of franchise stores. We will definitely work hard in terms of sales channels, and we will also focus on brand building. Recently, we are shooting advertisements and have already discussed with CCTV. Of the 4, he was the only one who stayed in the factory, and the remaining 3 were all on business trips. Today, an investor from Xiangjiang called and reprimanded him for more than an hour, like a primary school student. You can rest assured. We told you at the time that the investment must be big. Everything has a process. We must review the shortcomings of our work. Well, you should rest early. Su Liwa put down the phone and was already sweating. He was such a big man, and he was 10,000 unhappy when an investor called him to say so. But in such a market situation, he can only do it desperately. Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent Mobile Version Reading Website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 769. The outside world is also paying particular attention to the communication industry, and the state has begun to encourage it. Many companies believe that the communication industry will not have a big outbreak similar to that of TV sets. The technical threshold of TV is relatively low, while the communication industry has a real threshold, which limits a number of speculative enterprises. During this period of time, the Posts and Telecommunications Group has continuously issued documents to encourage domestic enterprises to move in the general direction of history, strengthen the technical accumulation of the communication industry, and publish a set of data. At present, the number of domestic pagers has exceeded 10 million units, and the market is showing explosive growth at a rate of no less than 100% every year. In the next 5 years, no less than 1 million card-type public services will be installed in major areas of the city. Telephones, the number of domestic mobile communication telephones exceeded 50,000. The Post and Telecommunications Bureau estimates that by 2000, the number of mobile telephones in China will reach 1 million, and pagers will reach 50 million. In order to encourage enterprises to innovate and join the ranks of communication research and development, the Post and Telecommunications Bureau highlighted an example. Huawei Technologies, a small company, has officially independently developed digital program-controlled switches. In the future, all switches in the communication field will be replaced by domestic products. The industry is not big, but the battle is really fierce. This is not a contest between domestic manufacturers, but a battlefield composed of 3 levels of enterprises. Motorola, Ericsson, and Panasonic are all brands with profound brand appeal. The next is GFN Electronics, which has purchased a foreign-funded laboratory and has a large number of sales channels. The third is Waveguide, which has a certain market. There is a huge gap between these 3 levels of companies. The foreign capital of the first level completely crushes the second level, and the second level can crush the third level. When many entrepreneurs see the current industry ecology, they can only sigh and say that they are weak. In order to promote the development of the communication industry, on the basis of the Electronic Exchange Conference, Shenzhen has launched a gathering called the Communication High-End Forum, which will be officially held on March 10. In 1994, the first year of reform in the domestic communication industry, we opened a history and looked back at this year. Bird Rose and Motorola was defeated in the field of pagers. It was also the year that Ericsson launched a campaign against Motorola's big brother in the mainland market. Charge. In the world without GFN Electronics, this is a story of domestic private enterprises trying to survive in a war of foreign capital. It was not until 1998 when the Post and Telecommunications Bureau split up that the communication industry really ushered in development. On March 2, Yuan Yan, the head of the media company, was detained under criminal detention. It was initially found that within 8 months, he took advantage of his position to sign contracts for 3 models at a premium of more than 200%, which seriously drained the company's property. Falsely reported invoices and defrauded the company's funds as high as 600,000 yuan. The whole group reported this matter. During the morning meeting, Lu Feng asked the audit team to conduct inspections from time to time. No matter who was found, as long as the butt was not clean, he would send it to the court. After the morning meeting, Lu Feng stood up and was about to leave. Wei Yandan walked over and said, "Mr. Lu, there is news about the stars over there in Xiangjiang. At present, Andy Lau has time, and he is willing to cooperate. The time is relatively tight. Walk." "No problem, finish filming him first." Lu Feng thought about it and said, "How is the venue at the media company?" "Last night, it was arranged according to your request. An advertising director was hired, and you can meet at will. The dancers were also found last night. Yuan Yan has been fired, and now the vice president Mei Jiao is in charge." "Okay, I see," Lu Feng said and walked towards the door. Back at the office, Lu Feng simply handled the affairs at hand. Du Guoying knocked on the door and walked in, and said, "Mr. Lu, there is a high-end forum here to invite us." "I won't participate in any talks," Lu Feng said, putting the folder aside. Du Guoying had heard in the company that he didn't participate in general banquets, forums, etc. He heard from several vice presidents that it was because he was disdainful to participate, but what he heard from some gossip was that Lu Feng cursed too much. For fear of damaging the corporate image. It belongs to the electronics conference, like Bird, Motorola, Ericsson, and Nokia. Du Guoying can feel that the weight of this forum is not light, and he can sit down with these manufacturers to get a feel for the details, and have some ideas for the future development. Crucial impact. "I'll go." Lu Feng raised his head in surprise, thought for a while and asked, "When?" "The 10th of this month." "Okay, let's go." After Lu Feng finished speaking, he stood up and said, "Where's Kevin?" "Go to the media company." After calling Kevin, he went downstairs and took the car straight to the media company. Inside the car, Kevin was reading with a few newspapers in his hand, and said in a flat tone, "Don't bother, there's no hope, it's all written on it. Motorola this year is going to be a big deal, and the product increment is several times. Obviously, it is starting to pay attention to this market. Don't toss." "Why don't you toss?" Lu Feng lowered the car window, smoked a cigarette, and knocked the ash from the window. "Judging from the current situation, you have no chance of winning. I have been in the market for half my life, and there is a huge disparity between the two sides. What do you compare to other people's brand appeal? You know better than me how the mainland market treats foreign brands. Well, let me tell you this, even if it is a product quality, our price is 50% higher than yours." Kevin could no longer understand what was going on inside, and said to Lu Feng, "You know that many products are sold in some countries. What is the price after a monopoly is formed? It's a sky-high price. But people must have a dream when they are alive. If a person lives without a dream, he is a walking dead. He eats and sleeps every day, sleeps and eats. In the same way, a company must have a dream, and a country must have a dream. Even if unreal and unrealistic, at least it will guide you forward." Lu Feng looked at him and said, "Are you right?" Kevin closed the newspaper and shrugged, but didn't say anything. After all, who wouldn't allow people to daydream? Now the 4 heavenly kings are definitely the hottest time, especially in the mainland. With the introduction of various companies similar to GFN Media, their influence is getting bigger and bigger. This is from the Spring Festival Gala sketch Star Chaser. You can spy 1 or 2. I don't know where the news was leaked. Fans started to gather downstairs. They were all young girls. When they saw Lu Feng's car approaching, a group of people instantly became restless. Dozens of people stood in a row on the side of the road, shouting, "Andy Lau! Andy Lau! We love you! Andy Lau! Andy Lau! We love you!" A boy next to him kept pushing forward and asked, "Is it Don?" They invited Andy Lau, not Don. "I heard it's Don, I don't care, I love Don. I love Don." Lu Feng's car was blocked and he couldn't move forward at all. There were people lying on the window of the car, and it was a little scary to sit in the car and look outside, a feeling of doomsday. "I'm afraid there will be trouble today. I think you should ask the security guard to maintain order. When a star like this comes, it's a big scene. It's a big scene. It seems that I have seen a lot of scenes," and said, "You will not be able to shoot today's commercial again. Can't make it?" A group of adolescent children can still be a problem. Lu Feng looked rather disdainful. "This kind of fans is the most difficult thing to deal with. I have invited many celebrities to shoot commercials before. No matter how much security you have, it is easy to cause conflicts. If you don't make it right, it will be the headline of the entertainment media." Kevin could see that, Lu Feng there is absolutely no experience in dealing with such things, as if getting out of the car and saying a few words, this group of people can be dispersed. It depends on who will do it. Lu Feng looked outside and knew that he couldn't go on like this. The time was short. If the fans delayed it, the filming might not be finished. He opened the car door and walked out. Fans sighed when they saw Lu Feng walking down. They looked very disappointed. "Thank you. Thank you." Lu Feng walked towards them with a smile on his face. The driver was afraid that something might go wrong, so he hurriedly got out of the car to help stop people. Lu Feng took the flower from a fan and said, "Thank you so much for your support." "What are you doing with my flowers?" "This is for Andy Lau." The little girl stared at Lu Feng, her eyes could kill. "I am Andy Lau, my name is Andy Lau," Lu Feng said loudly to the crowd. "Thanks to so many fans for their support, I am very moved. I hope you can support me in the future, especially my new song Love in Love. Everyone, you can also listen to it." "We're looking for Andy Lau, you're a fake," a little girl blushed with anger. "I just have the same name as him. Today this company hired me. I have been out for many years, and I have some achievements. Whether it is singing skills or looks, I am not inferior to Andy Lau from Hong Kong. This opportunity to sing a cappella song for everyone, my famous song Love in Love. The group of people at the scene were full of disappointment, and their excitement was gone. They looked at Lu Feng, and they became more and more angry. Give me a glass of love-inducing water, so I can't sleep all night. I used to be sincere, so I let the rain blow and the wind blows. I'll sleep with others tonight." A little girl couldn't listen anymore, came over and spat on the ground, scolding, "It's humming ugly. Go. Go. You child, how can you spit everywhere?" Lu Feng looked at the crowd and walked out, shouting, "Don't go, you can give me gifts anyway, the flowers will wilt if you can't send them out. Little girl, give me the flower." "Give it to you." The little girl shoved it to Lu Feng with an impatient face. In less than 10 minutes, Lu Feng collected more than 70 bouquets of flowers. Kevin was stunned when he saw it in the car. It was the first time he had seen this method. The point is, the average boss can't do this. Even if they know that this trick is useful, they don't bother to get out of the car and make trouble with these children. Lu Feng can do it. Du Guoying got out of the car, ran over and asked, "Mr. Lu, what do you want these flowers for? It can't be wasted. It will be placed when the commercials are being filmed, and the security will be notified to move it up," Lu Feng instructed. After Kevin heard this way of handling, he could only secretly cry out, "Damn it, absolutely. This young boss is a talent." Please remember this book's first domain name. Yin Yang Agent mobile version reading website.